Hey patrons, how's it going? Thanks for joining me here. Or if you're one of the people who waited a year, thanks for waiting a year. Would have rather had your money though. But hey, is what it is. That's what I do around here. I get money. We're coming up on episode 97 of Fix My Car Cast. About to record it right now. Today's I can't show you what I have here. But today's is to pick a random philosophy book and incorporate 10 lines from it. Stoked, excited, pumped. It's going to be a great one. I'm actually glad this gimmick got picked. I put 3 fall-related gimmicks for today's episode, and people said, fuck that, really hard. And they wanted philosophy, so there you go. My listeners love Halloween shit and hate cozy fall shit. Yeah, let's get it started. Let me think of an opening line here. What is a podcast? Forgot to do the thumbnail, but let's. And this is where the theme song goes, so that's why I'm being quiet. So on the waveform, I can tell this is where it goes. Thanks for bearing with me. You're listening to Fix My Car Cast, hosted by Bear Claw Billy, and this is episode 97. Comedian and musician Keith Hebert thinks he's coming up later in the show, therefore he is coming up later in the show. But first, housekeeping. This is the show where you pick what I say and how I say it. Pick a topic or prompt by donating to the GoFundMe, and vote on the gimmick by joining my Patreon for just $1 a month. Join at the $5 or higher level and also get bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes footage. Links are in the description. Also down there, merch. Get yourself some merch. As Epicurus once noted, do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you hoped for. So hope for some merch. No new donors this week. The total raised for paying off my car repair debt is still holding at $1,571. Also, when we get to $2,000, we unlock an automatic show gimmick, which is I will watch all the Fast and Furious movies back to back and then record my podcast at the end. Fun fact, did you know that this whole podcast disappears when we hit $3,000? As Confucius says, it does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. Wait. Hey, do you like the theme song? No? Well, if you make a donation of $50 or more, in addition to picking an episode topic, you get to change one thing about the theme song forever, unless somebody else changes it back. Want me to come up with a new melody using the I Ching? I'll do it. $50. No new patrons this week. Bummer. Now it's time for a topic suggestion. I'll suggest topics I think I could easily talk about for a whole episode, though admittedly I think the show is more fun when it's something I'm completely clueless about. So, something I could talk about is my music career. I've had a pretty darned atypical journey into the world of making music. Want to know more? Donate today. Checking in on the best city in the world based on which city listened to the last episode the most. And we've got us a tie between Portland, Maine and Cambridge, Massachusetts. Ties are broken by whichever city listened to the most episodes, and our big winner is Portland, Maine. Congratulations, Portland, Maine. Let it be known that your moderation, courage, justice, and wisdom are the best in the world for 7 days. That one's a thinker. Last episode, I composed a wordless piece of music to represent the topic of films set around May Day. You can see video of the entire episode over on Patreon. Please note, the actual song composed for the episode cannot be heard in the raw footage, because I hadn't made it yet. Also, head over to Patreon for a bonus episode where I talk about the absurdities of being a composer. Now, that's the absurdities, not my musical journey. Those are 2 different things. You still want to sponsor that musical journey episode. It's going to be great. And I'm not referring to the band Journey. That's a different kind of musical journey. Okay, let's talk next week's gimmick poll. These are your choices for next week's episode gimmick. They are: drink a hot apple cider, upload the episode at double speed, invite my 2-year-old niece on the show, and our returning gimmick, attempt a Sudoku puzzle. Let's run over those again, okay? That's number 1, drink a hot apple cider. Number 2, upload the episode at double speed. I'm biased, but the best choice. Number 3, invite my 2-year-old niece on the show. You will not regret this. And number 4, our returning gimmick, attempt a Sudoku puzzle. I lost my place in the script. Remember that any gimmick that gets just a single vote is eligible for a second chance in 6 weeks. Be sure to vote over on Patreon. The poll closes Thursday, November 16th. Yup, that's correct. At noon Eastern America time. I always get so paranoid that I haven't updated any of the numbers in the script. They're always the last thing I think to update. Like, I'll go to record and I'll be like, oh, I didn't change the episode number. I didn't change the dates. Anyway, let's keep rolling right along. All right, time for today's gimmick, which is incorporate 10 lines from a random philosophy book. Now, I was a writing major, but I always wanted to keep my eyes peeled for even more useless majors. So I took a lot of philosophy courses, and I still have some of the books from those courses. For extra fun, I'm not going to tell you which philosophy books are in the pile today. I'll simply say that 3 are highly respected classics, and 1 is most definitely not. Of course, gimmicks don't start until housekeeping is out of the way in case any of them prevent me from sharing vital information. But now, we are leaving the shadows on the wall of the cave, and we are entering the gimmick zone. From this point on, gimmicks are active and everything is improvised. There's no sponsored topic for today's episode, so I'll take inspiration from a randomized Wikipedia page, which is too short. Rolling again, which is also too short. Rolling again, which is okay. I'm gonna go with this one. Long enough. Okay, today's topic is Waikai. I hope I am pronouncing this correct. Formerly known as Switzers, a town in the Southland region of New Zealand's South Island. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. This article is still kind of short, but I'm gonna roll with it because it is long enough. So our topic is Waikai. I'm going to spell that. Waikaia. Waikai I'm going to go with. I don't know if there's a pronouncer here on the page. There isn't. Not a fan. There should be pronouncers for everything. Okay, so Waikai. Sorry I'm taking so much time to get the gimmick rolling, but because there's randomness also in the gimmick, I feel like, there's a lot to get to here. So Waikai is the topic, and the gimmick shall be quoting one of these philosophy books. Now, if you're watching the video version, I will show you the covers, but if you're listening to just the audio version, you're going in cold. You have no idea what book is coming out. So, I am currently holding up the first book that will be going in the magical randomization bag. I hope you can see that. That's one of the classics. All right, here is the second book that is going into the bag of respected philosophical texts. Here is the third book that is going into the bag of respected philosophical texts. And now, not to get too philosophical on you, but now transforming the bag into simply a book of philosophical texts is one absolutely not a classic book at all whatsoever that I randomly found for a completely unrelated project, and you should definitely sponsor an episode about this insane book. Into the bag of books it goes, and now I shake up the bag, probably not affecting the order whatsoever, but here we go. We're shaking the philosophy bag, and I will be picking from the first thing I feel my fingers touch. Okay, admittedly, I probably should have figured out that the biggest book would get chosen. Oh, okay, very well. Today's book is this one. And I'm so thrilled. I cannot wait to read to you from this incredible philosophical treatise. And of course, when I say that, I mean I will be incorporating the lines. So not to go too far up my own improv ass, but this is a classic improv game where you take a book, you have to incorporate lines from it into what you're already saying, you have to make it make sense. One of my favorite things to do, not to give you a peek behind the improv curtain, but let's begin, shall we? I realize I didn't set aside pen and paper so that I could tabulate how many lines I've worked in. Probably a thing I should do. Also, I'm really feeling like I should have thrown another wild card book into the pile, but I'm very glad this is the one we got, and I can't wait to see how this episode comes out. So let's get going, friends. Let's talk about Waikaya. And what you need to know about Waikaya is boar would not yield. Now, what do I mean by that? Is there a high boar population in Waikaya? Well, let's find out, shall we? Let's see what the local flora and fauna is in Waikaya. Not seeing that as part of this article. No, nothing about the animals whatsoever, but that is okay. What you need to know about Waikaya is that from 1909 until 1959, it was the terminus of the Waikaya Branch Railway. Okay, interesting. So, like, we got some train action going on. And, when I think of trains, I think of the fact that Buddha teaches that in truth, it is this craving, this grasping tension that causes suffering. So there's a lot of tension when you're waiting for a train. So I'm glad that, we've got the terminus of the Waikaya Branch Railway. So when you get here, there's no more wondering how much longer you're going to be on a train. There's no more tension, and therefore there's no more suffering. You have reached the end of the line, and now you feel a sense of satisfaction that you may not have gotten where you wanted to go, but at the very least, you are done traveling. And there's some comfort that comes with that. And of course, what's going on in Waikaya? Like, what's going on there? Let's learn about the population. In the... I always get these tiny little nothing towns. The population of Waikaya, according to the 2013 census, was 99. If that was timed a little better, it would be amazing if this was my 99th episode. But alas, it is my 97th. And the population of 99 in the 2013 census was unchanged from the previous census in 2006. Now that's very funny. You know what that makes me think of? My own suffering with the girl in my youth was a significant point in my understanding of myself, of life, and of Zen. When you live in a small town, sometimes you don't get as many shots at love, but it does lead you down a path of great suffering that may lead you to be thinking more deeply and more philosophically about your life and about suffering and the nature of Zen. So there you go. Let's learn more about Waikaya, which is in the Southland District. I've heard some tales from there, and is covered by the Waikaya Community Development Area Subcommittee. Okay, facilities include a museum, which is attached to an iconic bottle house, constructed from approximately 20,000 wine bottles. I take everything back. This is not a little podunk town. They have a bottle house. Is this a thing? Have people seen these around? This is fascinating. See, these are the ones where it's like, I have listeners who are like, I don't like the random Wikipedia page episodes. And I hear you. I don't like them either because they don't make me any money. But it's stuff like this. I had no idea what a bottle house was. Now I know. Is there a bottle house near me? Should I find the bottle house that's closest to Columbus, Ohio, Maine, and go visit it? You could sponsor an episode about that. Yeah, throw me $100 and tell me go to the nearest bottle house. You know what else you could tell me? We all unconsciously believe our perception is infallible, that it sees reality. And it's true, our experience of the world is simply what we know. And before this very day, I had no concept of a bottle house. And now I have, one might argue, too much concept of a bottle house. Oh my gosh, Waikaya, what else have you got? Well, let me tell you what. The historic Glenaray Station Farm is located close to Waikaya. I would click through, but there's no link there. It is a fully dead link. Station Farm. So are we talking a railway station with a farm? That's pretty cool. I don't know, I'm learning so much. You should know that several of the farm buildings are Heritage New Zealand classified structures. I don't know what that means. Probably has some historical significance. But yeah, that's interesting. Waikaia is described as a rural settlement by Statistics New Zealand. It covers 1.26 square kilometers and is part of the much larger Riversdale Piano Flat statistical area. Friends, it's a big, beautiful world out there. I don't know what the Riversdale Piano Flat is, but piano's in there. It's got to have something related to music, right? Oh, excuse me. The population of Waikaia has increased. A population of 135 at the 2018 New Zealand census, an increase of 6 people. Isn't that interesting? You know what that makes me think? Since the dawn of human society, there has been an uneasy truce between social convention and individual biological necessity. Ain't that the truth, folks? You know, we do what we feel we must to make things better for our fellow people. All 134 other people in Waikaia, if you are a resident of Waikaia, this is, of course, the 2018 census data. We're looking at 60 households, 72 males, and 63 females, giving a sex ratio of 1.14 males per female. The median age was 57.4 years. Okay, so skewing kind of old in Waikaia. If I have any listeners in Waikaia, where are my Waikaia listeners? Which I may make the title in hopes that it gets looked up. Because I'm noticing kind of a pattern. Like if I mention a specific place in a podcast, I find that place sometimes listens. So I would love to get the good people of Waikaia into Fix My Car Cast. So please, check it out, and maybe we can think deep thoughts, the deepest, some very deep thoughts together. All my Waikaians. The ethnicities were 97.8% European, 6.7% Maori, and 2.2% Asian. 42.2% had no religion, and 48.9% were Christian. Good job, Christianity. Great work being slightly higher than people with no religion whatsoever. Really crushing it out there, Christianity. Okay, lots more stats. I'm gonna skip past the stats, and if I need to go back, we'll see. Education, here we go. Folks, education is so important, and let me enlighten you with a little bit of knowledge right now. I'll do my best, but I don't expect this book to be clear to everyone. Now, isn't that a nugget of wisdom? Just, you know, everyone is just doing their best to try to make how they feel clear to other people. I'm fascinated by language and communication, verbal, nonverbal. Like, it is, like, do you ever just wake up and go, like, the stuff that's in here, I can put in other heads. Like, the stuff in my head I can put in other heads because we invented communication. Isn't that fascinating? I'm communicating with you right now, and, you know, this book may not be clear to everyone. This book may not be clear to everyone, but I'm trying my best. So, speaking of education, the Waikaia School is a state full primary school for years 1 to 8 with a roll of 17 as of April 2023. I grew up in a very small town, and I just laughed at the class size of 17. The school opened in 1882, so it's been there for a while. Originally called Switzer's School, which makes sense because I believe, if the top of this article is to be trusted, Waikaia was formerly known as Switzer's. So there you go, a full land of Switzers. I can't think of another name for that. I love that this place is so small. There's simply the hill. You know, the hill in Waikaia. The school first opened in 1882. Waikaia School moved into the town from the hill above it about 1880. But it burned down 6 weeks later. You know, I might be quoting a different philosopher. I forget who said this, but like an uninteresting life is an impossibility. And look at this. Waikaia's got a full-on bottle house, baby, and it's got a school that burned down in just 6 weeks. I am utterly fascinated by all the things I'm learning about Waikaia. And it just, if you'll indulge me, Experiments proved that indeed the twin sister does smile, and physicists assume instantaneously because she does so as fast as our atomic clocks can measure. Folks, sometimes I say stuff that even I don't understand. From context clues, I'm gonna guess that what I'm talking about is Einstein's theory of relativity, twins going faster than the speed of light, what even is time? I mean, a subject I don't really know a lot about. Don't ask me about time, especially time travel. I know absolutely nothing about it. Sorry, folks, you're just gonna have to step off here. I may have missed some of my tally marks, so hope you're having a good time. Friends, we're almost at the end of this article, and I maybe have to tell you 3 more deep and philosophical things. So, I will tell you, I mean, what even is fame, really? But notable people from Waikaya. Check it out. John Benjamin Charles Dorr, carrier, tourist operator, secret government agent, explorer, and surgeon, 1872 to 1945. Whew, Waikaya. Let me tell you what, your article may not be very long, but you've got some very interesting history. That is fascinating. The jump from tourist operator to secret government agent. Waikaya's got their own James Bond. Ah, man. Explorer and surgeon. First of all, you have any one of these things on your resume. You're getting laid, you're a very cool person. But, like, you whip out that business card, tourist operator, secret government agent, explorer, surgeon, carrier. I'm not sure what that's about. Like a disease? I sure hope not. Boy, how does one have such an action-packed and fascinating life? Why, it makes me think, we talked in the previous episode, about the nature of time and our experience of its flow, and how that common experience of the flow of time from past to present to future had no absolute basis in physics. Folks, we're talking about time here. Again, something I know nothing about. I wish we had more content. Yeah, no, it is interesting that, like, time both exists and doesn't. And when I think of time, which is never, I do think about the fact that there's, like, time is so fascinating because it is both a philosophical thing and a science thing. It's so interesting that, like, it's a perception thing, but also it is something that we can measure, but, like, what are we even measuring? What am I talking to you about this for, though? We're supposed to be talking about Waikaya, home of fucking James Bond surgeons or whatever. Will you permit me to click through? I feel like this individual is too fascinating. Their Wikipedia page literally says the exact same sentence as the last one. Okay, well, John Benjamin Charles Dorr, you seem really cool. You know, in like I would watch a movie about you way. I don't know how you were as a person. I said there were some stats I was going to go back to, and you know what? This may be relevant to philosophy majors everywhere. The employment status of those, at least 15, was that 48 people were employed full-time, 21 were part-time, and 3 were unemployed. And I love that it's 3 people were unemployed, which is 2.6% of the population. 3 people is 2.6% of the population. I love this. That's fascinating. That's wonderful. Why, that's almost delightful as asking, are you confused? I know I am. I know a lot of things confuse me. But yeah, I am a little confused. My brain was like, okay, so 3 people is 2.6%, 21 people is 18.4%. So yeah, I mean, it's simple. It's just the population is close to 100, but isn't exactly. But yet my brain was like, something weird's going on, what's happening? And that's the thing, it's like, math is kind of the same thing as time. Like, does math exist? Of course it does, but like also it doesn't. Show me where math is in the world. Like, what is math? It's a thought process? Some say it's the universal language. Some say music is also, but music is almost kind of math in a way. But also it's about feelings too, but there's no feelings in math, or are they? That would be an amazing topic to discuss for another day, but I gotta wrap things up here, folks. I mean, we've been having a great talk about Waikaya. I can't remember which hashtag, which tally mark I did, so maybe just to be safe, I should do a couple more quotes. But anyway, The good people of Waikaya, please reach out to me if you've heard this episode. I'd love to know all about Waikaya. Frankly, any of the places that I talk about on this show, it would be so cool if somebody who lives there got in touch. If anyone from Siaku is also a Trekkie, let me know what you thought of the Star Trek themed episode about Siaku. And then there's also the episode, like a used car commercial, which, oh gosh, is somewhere in Louisiana, I think. I forgot the name of the town. But anyway, if you're from Louisiana, if you're from Siaku, if you're from Waikaya, hit me up. Like, I think it's so fascinating. Just learn about these random places. And I would love to meet one of the 135 people that live in Waikaya. All right, what a lovely discussion we've had today. I've either done 9 or 10 lines, which means technically doing one more, I'm still in the clear, right? Sure. So, folks, I think we've had just about all we have to say about Waikaya. So, let me leave you with a bit of wisdom, which is paradise. Oh, excuse me. As always, paradise had been found. This book is so bad. Please sponsor an episode about this book. This book is so bad, I went on another podcast about bad books just to talk about how bad this book is. It has been my mouse pad since this show began, because it's not worth reading. It's like the one book in my collection that I'm like, I will literally never need to read anything from that until today. So just to give you some backstory, this is Top Gun Zen, which has the most grammatically confusing tagline: the importance of mysticism, science, air combat, and daily life. Not in daily life, and daily life. So this is a book about the importance of daily life. Keep living every day. That is just one of the many fascinating things about this book. I've written an entire article about this book. Again, I went on a podcast to talk about it, but that podcast didn't get off the ground, unfortunately. I actually had to check with the hosts, like, hey, do you think anything's coming of that? Because I need to tell the world about this book, and I might get to do it in today's CarCast episode. Had their blessing. If they still have the recording, I might ask them if I can have it, and like, I might do that. I might just be like, hey, can I have that and put it up on my Patreon as a bonus thing? But that's probably not fair to them because, you know, they did the hard work of putting the whole show together. Anyway, yeah. I won't say much more about this book. It's by Barry Kagan McMahon. So here, take a look at the Eastern wisdom of Barry Kagan McMahon. So yeah, I did a project about the movie Top Gun and was just looking for any books, media, etc. about being a fighter pilot. Like, I wanted to get into the mindset of a fighter pilot. I did an article where I tried to like clear my mind and receive messages from the movie Top Gun, and I called that article like the Zen of Top Gun, and then found this on Amazon. Was like, wait, there is a book about Top Gun and Zen. By the way, this has nothing to do with the movie, like less than nothing to do with the movie. Top Gun is the program that trains fighter pilots, but they're not going to tell you that on the cover. They want you to be a fan of the movie and maybe accidentally buy the book. Anyway, I could go on. This is honestly one of my most treasured possessions just because it is such a weird book, so unfocused. I'm not going to tell you some of the weird side tangents this guy goes down, and I can't fault him because my whole life is going down side tangents. But for real, sponsor an episode about this book. It's wild. It is wild. All right. Go buzz the tower.